Hey, what's up? This is TJP, and you're listening to the 3 Count Podcast.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, how fast would you find that drag ball at?
Now,
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, the man that leads you up this mountain, this thing called wrestling. You can call me your Sherpa, but like every Sherpa, you have to have someone teach you how to go up the mountain. So that's what I do. So it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And today, you can find this man at Lubbock Pro Wrestling. You can find this man on RPW, BCW, ACW, and HPA. He is the Wildcard.
Hey, how's it going? Kind of Jeb at the moment. Wildcard's kind of chilling in the back over there, as you can see. He's just kind of relaxing. So I got another part of him locked away for the trip tomorrow. So
yeah, it's cool because I was like looking through like your history and stuff like that, and just seeing like the places you've been. And like it's funny because I used to live in Lubbock, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, I started from a little town with no one really around and just went from there, man. And I've just been going since I got started in 2009, May 9th, 2009. I've been going since then.
Well, what brought you into the sport? I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Man, this is a story I don't elaborate on a whole lot because it's a personal story of mine. I brush over it with a fine-tooth comb and leave a lot of things out, but I'm open to it now because I want to be honest. I want people to know my story because it really brings me to who I am today. Yeah. Have you ever heard of the gaming console Sega Genesis?
Yeah.
So my uncle I was at my great grandmother's house, and my grandmother lived next door. He brought over a Sega Genesis and had WWF and WCW on it. And he's like, hey, you want to play video games? I've never really played video games. I'm just a kid. I'm like, sure, let's play video games. Never had one in my life before. Plugs it in. And all I remember is WWE, Papa Shingo, Undertaker, the blue background, the yellow, the bright colors. I'm like, what is this? He goes, this is wrestling. And I just fell in love from there. The colors, the theatrics, like everything about it just drew me in. And unfortunately, with that story comes a dark side, man, is that he used that to get a hold of me in a negative way. So, which led to another uncle getting a hold of me as well. And when I say get a hold of me, sexual assault, sexual cases. And I just fell in love with it though. Like I just remember seeing the action figures he had and just like being intrigued by it, but never knowing anything about it. And then just here and there, I would grab TV and watch it. And like my grandma, she used to have one of those old cable boxes. And like there were times like we would be able to go in and watch or hear the wrestling shows or watch it and like rent it. So I just fell in love with it, man. And I was so in and out of homes between parents because my parents divorced at a young age. So I would watch it at my dad's house, watch it at my mom's house, watch it at my dad's house. So it was never consistent, but I was like, what is this? And I was like, it just drew me in.
Yeah, it's weird how the wrestling world like can draw you. And also, I was just watching. And so if I don't even need to put the date out, people will know. So I was just watching Dark Side of the Ring. Everybody knows kind of an episode about the airplane ride from hell. And
I just watched it a few minutes ago as I was working. I just got to finish watching it.
So it's like, but it's crazy to think like, and this was only like 2002, right? But we know like the things that have happened in wrestling just in general. Like we just know like the world, but it's also like in that world, like that weird world, like you find like so much beauty inside of it as well. Because I know like my aunt was the one that introduced me to wrestling, and this was like 91. And she's like, have you ever watched this before? I was like, I have no idea what we're watching. I just see a dude wrapped up in like ropes and another man letting a snake bite him. That was my introduction to wrestling.
Yeah. Jake the Snake Roberts with that's with Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah. That's a great introduction.
Right. And I was like, is it like this all the time? And she's like, no.
Is it like this all the time? Oh man. Cause see, what's interesting about it is I got introduced to it. So I don't remember the very first thing I watched, honestly. like a full episode, but I do remember at a young age, my second uncle had heard that WCW had come into town in our little town where we are, and they were hosting a show at our college basketball stadium. And I got all painted up like Sting and stuff. And he goes, "This guy's really, really cool." Like, and I had the red and black, and it was a horrible show. It was a horrible show. Like I have friends here, like that, and people that have started wrestling with me were at that show with me, and we just didn't know each other.
That's crazy. I was like, I think about it, man. Like, I wonder what it would have been like had I just like stayed in Lubbock just like a few years longer. Because I used to be real, like I used to live in shallow water. So like, and just being there, and I know like they were big about football and wrestling, and I know like I would have like just fell in love more with the sport than I did. And I probably would have started earlier too. Because I really didn't even start till like 19 months ago, man. So it's like, and I've already dated myself by talking about the first thing I saw for wrestling wise. So yeah, there's that. But I'm curious, man, like who is Wildcard?
Who is Wildcard, man? He's that person inside of me. He's that person that you can look at as either a positive or a negative, man. He's that inner demon / I'm willing to fight everyone off and do whatever it takes to beat the hell out of you and win. I'm gonna risk it all and do it all. Like he's that there's no limitations person inside of me. Like I found myself a lot of times being a loner and not having many friends or not wanting to associate with people that I was around because I didn't like them or wanted to be around them. I was quiet. I kept to myself. And it's that whole idea of like, you ever want that one friend, that one true friend that understands everything about you and knows you from front to back, every little nook and cranny about your life, everything that's up in here, he knows it. He's that mask that I've shielded myself with for so long that people didn't know about. He was there, but no one saw him. They only saw Jet. They didn't see him. They didn't see the inner person inside of me, the anger, the sadness, depression, just everything that I have. When he's on, it's me breaking out of that shell and letting everything out that's messed me up in my life. You know, the things with my uncles, the things with my father, the things with separated homes and sleeping in a 5x5 trailer with two siblings and not having food for 17 hours or longer. You know, it just that, and I'm telling you the true story, like all that pent up, like anger, sadness and everything. He's everything I want to show people that I can have. He's out there to just let that passion and anger go. Like he's that ultimate person and he's real now. I put him on. He's not just imagination. He is everything that I can be. And I say this with passion because Jeb, he has this, he's a guy, he can do all these things. He can do everything, but he doubts himself every single step of the way. I doubt myself every single day. Am I doing the right thing? Am I working the right path? But with Wildcard, not a single moment. There's no doubt. I'm going to go do whatever it takes. You know, he's that anchor that's going to hold me there and say, no, I got this.
I like that. You know, like you said, it's another side of you, but it's like that side that just all fear goes out. It's become fearless. And I like that aspect of it. That's cool. I like that. So I'm curious, like when you were, you know, obviously going through like all your trauma stuff like that, and you like started building this, like this person that was like getting ready to break through, like at what point while you were like getting into sport, did you realize like, this is what it's going to be?
So when I started off, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was. I said, I'm going to be, I used to go by the name Joker, but everybody had the name Joker. It was just something cool. I like the whole graffiti Joker cards and stuff like the whole gangster card stuff. Like I love that style of art. So I loved art at a young age. And that's something I drew myself to, especially with wrestling, because it's a very artistic sport. and it's very physical as well. And I never was physical. Like the only physical thing I did growing up was football, and that was only one time. And I only did it one time because the coach never played me except for one game. I was training for defense and he played me on offense. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? I didn't get trained for this at all. So like, it was an interesting process. So going from there and like starting off, I didn't know what I was. I didn't know what I was doing. Honestly, I was training here and there with different guys coming in and out. There was no set trainer. There was no set guy. There's always another person come in and give you their input. And at one point in time, I was wearing face paint when I first started. I was painting my face, kind of like Jeff Hardy and stuff like that, and drawing my own painted face. And people just kept on complaining about the paint. And I was like, you know what? Fine. If you can come up with something better, come up with something better. And there was a short term, I went by the name JB Snow. And it was a 90s gimmick that was a dancer that came out in either pants with tassels or MC Hammer pants, and came out to Can't Touch This. And like, I felt like it was a joke, because people would have fun and just say things. Things were happening in the locker room, hazing in the locker room, being pants and stuff, and like a lot of guy things, nothing too insane, nothing too inappropriate or anything like that. Of course, there were limitations, but I just said to myself, what am I doing and who am I? Like, and I sat there and I was like, what can I do to make this real? And I had some people with me that were like, well, who is this? What are you? What are you doing? Like, what can you do? How can you create this to make this happen without having them judge it in a negative fashion? In a sense, I wanted to prove them wrong, or that this could work. That was my whole concept. Is like, and this is going in maybe my 8 years in, possibly. So Wildcard's only been around for about 5 years, 6 years, somewhere in there. He's not brand. He started that way, but it wasn't there, And I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, I had a guy named Nolan Phillips and Justin Taylor and Ryan Justice. They were kind of my guys I went to about talking about the concept or idea of what I believe it should have been. But I was the one I said, I want it to be a mask. And the guy I was working with or building something up with at the time was named Austin Riley. And I said, I'm going to have him zip tie the mask to me. So I physically break that shell and I am untamed. I cannot remove the mask. I am crazy nonstop Wildcard from there on out. And I just went off of that, man. And it's like, I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, and like over the years, man, it is me, like to a T. Like there's so much about it. And it's just like, how much energy can I invest in this? And it's like, all of it. Why not all of it? Because it's going to take all of this. It is me. It has everything to do with me. So make it something. Make him something.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's powerful too, man. Though, like I like how you like you said, you just invested everything that you had into it.
Yeah, and I got five different sets of Wildcard. I got I got over 10 sets of Wildcard. 10 sets of just Wildcard creations I wanted to have. And the newest ones are like this on, WrestlingTees.com, ProWrestlingTees.com and stuff like that. Like I drew everything up. I didn't have someone else create this. I did everything from scratch. I sat at home, I grabbed the piece of paper and I drew it up. I did paperwork. I looked up ideas. I studied, I watched Watchmen for, what is his name?
Rorschach.
I got inspiration from Rorschach. I got inspiration from Spider-Man, Green Goblin. I got inspiration from The Mask of Jim Carrey. I think Great Muta was one of the ones I looked at as well, wrestling wise. Delirious was another thing that was there that was doing kind of a similar thing, but different. And all of that just kind of like correlated into what I manifested and created.
I like it. I like it. So seeing how you say you're crazy when you have the mask on, you do some wild things. I'm sure you got one of these great stories. So I need to know, man, what's been the worst bump you've taken?
Oh man, see. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3.
Okay.
Oh wait, I almost got a 4th. I may have to move one out. Ooh. Oh, okay. So my second match in the industry, the guy I mentioned earlier, Austin Riley, is the second match I have, right? Well, I'm athletic enough to know that I can make the jump and make the flip. So I'm like, hey, I want to do a front flip dive to the outside. And he's like, okay, cool, we can do that. I'm going to go over the top rope and do a front flip dive to the outside. So let's time out and let that simmer for a second before I get too far. Now, like I said, I started out with a few friends on a trampoline. The few people that started here, I started out on a trampoline. I've been thrown off the trampoline onto a basket, a shopping basket full of weapons, because we call it extreme championship wrestling. I flew off, hit the basket, and hit the ground.
Oof.
Yeah, that didn't hurt, honestly. That didn't hurt. The one that hurt the most is when I got choke slammed off the trampoline to the ground, and all you heard was thud. That hurt the most. Yeah. Until this day. So he's on the outside. I'm like, okay. And he's getting up. I run and hit the ropes. And by the time I'm coming back, I realize he's a little further out than I thought. So like I was like, I gotta keep going. He's gonna move forward. I jump. He doesn't move forward. I front flip. By the time all I feel is like my legs hit here, and I go here, and all you hear is on concrete. And everyone, you hear the boys in the back, because there's only a curtain between us and the audience, go, ooh. And I'm just in agonizing pain. I'm just like, and I'm like, I'm moving my hands. I'm like, okay, I can move my hands. Can I move my feet? I can move my feet. I can feel my feet. And I'm just sitting there in my head. I'm like, am I paralyzed? Am I paralyzed? Am I paralyzed? And he comes over to me and he goes, are you okay? And my response is, the ref comes over to me and he goes, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. And then he comes over to me and goes, are you okay? And I go, no, I'm not okay. I just hit concrete. I'm in pain. Cool, we're going to continue. So picks me up and throws me back in the ring. So I guess the whole idea was like, we can continue. And we continued the match. I don't know for how much longer. It's somewhere on video. I have it somewhere on video somewhere. And I can get it. But that has to be my top worst bump. Damn. Everybody compares it to the recent bump I took the year before COVID hit. I was in a fatal 4-way, and I had grabbed a railing, one of the rails with the bars in them, set it up on the ring and the railing on the outside. I got back body drop from the inside of the ring on top of that rail, and it bent through.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds like it sucks.
I still think the front flip to the concrete hurt the worst. That has been the worst one yet. Like, and I've only done front flip to the outside from that day once, and that was like almost 3 years later, and that was when there were 10 people outside the ring to catch me.
Oh yeah, no, I can understand. Like, one, the fear factor, and two, like, you're like, all right, well, there's a lot of people, so someone has to catch me at this point.
Funny story. It wasn't supposed to be a front flip. I was supposed to jump and hit a springboard and cross body everyone to the outside. I jumped and my toe slipped, and I said, yeah. And I hit my shins on the top rope, and I balanced just right at an angle and flipped off my shins into them. So it was a very acrobatic thing that just happened by pure accident.
I was like, I heard, I have so much style. This is what I did instead.
Oh man. I surprise myself with how athletic I can be. Now, I've seen guys well above my level still that I wish I had just a sliver of their talent, man. There's some amazing people I've seen out there. Yes, I am talented. Yes, I recognize that I do have some level of athleticism. I wish people would see how much potential I have, and some people have. And some people have put me out there and said, I want you here. So some people see it, some people don't.
Yeah. So very curious then. We just talked about your worst bumps. Let's talk about the hardest that you've ever been hit.
The hardest I've ever been hit?
Yep.
Ooh, let's see. It was my very, very first match when I was training in like very first wrestling ring match. I had got signed up to wrestle a guy by the name of the Canadian not Canadian Pitbull, or like Pitbull or something like that. And this guy was 350 to 375 pounds. And I was 140. Yeah, let's just say I was really thrilled to be out there and over enthusiastic around him. And I was like, hey, I can do this, I can do that. If you can give me the chance, I could do this. And it rubbed him the wrong way. And let's just say he chopped me so hard in the chest and in the back, in between the shoulder blades. I was black and blue all over.
Damn.
Yeah, it's either that one or the match I had with Cahagas. I have the poster sitting right here on 7/20/2013. Cahagas, the NWA superstar, had a free-for-all match. So basically, false count anywhere, anything goes. I took a kendo stick to the back, and that hit hurt a lot. And he chopped me as well, and the chops hurt. But that was a rough one as well. Those are the two top roughest matches I've had so far.
Damn. They just, getting chopped. Like, chops suck.
They suck. And I have just such great blood flow and such light skin. Like you can see it here. I have light skin. I bruise real easily.
Damn.
I bruise real easily.
I was thinking about that because I know like recently I saw a video with a guy who was, I think it was Stephen Amell actually, that did it, and he was like, "Hey Darby," and he pulls up his shirt. He's like, "Chop me once," and Darby Allin was like, "Okay," and just chopped him. And then Sammy was like, "Do you want me to chop you too?" He's like, "No, I'm good." It's like, yeah, chops suck.
They suck. They really do suck.
So aside from, obviously we talked about like the physical side of things, we also know that wrestling is on a mental side as well. So I'm just curious, like, what's been one of like the hardest lessons that you've had to learn like in the business?
I mean, to each is their own. I want to say that, and I was like, and it was really, I come across the wrong way a lot of times with my attitude, I guess, or my ambitions, and it rubs people the wrong way. So the whole sit down and shut up method is a really good method to go by. But for me, I don't like that fully because of the fact that I would love to have had the chance to ask more questions in order to be able to do something more correctly than just being told, do this right or don't do it at all. Well, one, you don't have a set training schedule. Two, you don't have a set trainer. So if you're an independent company wanting to run a company and you're wanting to have people come to your training facility and services, offer that. Offer a chance for them to speak up and ask questions, because if you don't give that opportunity, you're just sitting there going yap, and there's just going to be so much information. I'm not going to get all of it at once sometimes. And sometimes it takes some time to repeat things or go over things again and again just to make sure someone understands.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. So then I'm curious, man, seeing how you've been in the business since like 2009 and you've kind of, been up and down these roads. I'm just curious, man, like what advice would you give to like up and coming wrestlers?
Advice, man. Go home. When you're at home, don't be afraid to work on your craft. And when I say work on craft, I'm talking do the things that you hear people say, cut promos on your show and talk about who you're facing and working on those promos and do them over and over again until you like it. And if you kind of go, I like it, send it to someone that you know that's willing to be fully honest with you. And I mean 100% honest with you and is not afraid to hurt your feelings, because that person's going to be your go-to person to tell you how it really is. And when I say go home and work on promos, I had a guy this last week or weekend before last when I was working at a Comic-Con he goes, I had that entrance and it wasn't me. I haven't figured out who I am yet. And he's 6'5", 200 and something odd pounds. And I just started spitballing things. I was like, have you thought of this? Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And he's like, no. I was like, okay. I said, here's one thing that someone mentioned to me. You got a phone, you got paper, go home, write down ideally what you want to do. What is your start? What are your moves? What are your things that you do that make you you? What is your taunts? What is your character work? Figure out everything. Grab like that door behind you. I would say set up the camera where you are now and open that door and walk around the corner to where you can't see it and hit play on a Bluetooth device of some sort, your phone, I don't care, and play your music and walk through on camera and do your pose. We all want to be on TV, right? We all want to be on AEW. We all want to be on WWE. We all want to be on Impact Wrestling, ROH. What are you doing to make that impact? Every single step of the day. What are you writing down? What are you working on? Because if you're not sitting there thinking about what I can do in a match as a face, what I could do in the match as a bad guy, what I can do in my entrance alone. I had 3 minutes for a battle royal, and I only had 20 seconds in the battle royal. I took every minute I could of that entrance to tell a story of who I was and what I was. And I had 5 people go, your entrance alone made me understand your character. That if that's all the time you have, take that opportunity during that entrance to get your character over. Because if that's the only thing you're going to get, they're going to remember that. People are going to go, what the hell is that? What is that? What's going on? You know, I'm only 6 foot tall. I'm now 190 pounds. I've lost weight. So I'm not no big guy. I'm trim. I'm small. I'm athletic. So there's a dime a dozen. But what I do, or what he does, makes a big, big difference of what people see. So write down everything you want to do. If you can't do it, scribble it out, start over. Nook and crannies, take your time. So many people are so worried about the moves and the ideas of what's going on in a match. Character work, man. People love character work. When I went to ROH in 2012, I think, I'm going to say 12, but I may be wrong. They were doing reviews of character works and promos, and they said they would take about 5 minutes to talk and discuss your promo work and ideas about your character, what you can do with it. I was the only one, and Moose was there. Jay Lethal, so Moose was in training or development at the time. Damian Priest was there. There's another guy, but Jay Lethal, Delirious, Jay Briscoe, Kevin Kelly, all of them were reviewing it. They spent 20 minutes talking about what they could do with Wildcard. 20 minutes. If I had just dropped everything like they tell you should do as a professional wrestler and make the sacrifices that you need to make, I could have been on ROH years ago, possibly. I could have got the right training. I could have been around the right people that lead me in the right direction and do the right things and be further on than where I am right now. But I do not regret my decision because I am happy. I have things I never thought in my lifetime I would have by the upbringing I had. I'm very, very fortunate to be in the situation I am, and very fortunate to have the people around me that have guided me and helped me become the best person I can be today. Have the right people around you.
Bet. That's a lot to take in, man. Like, you gotta just like, some of y'all out there are gonna have to listen to this like twice. How you gonna get?
It's a lot, and it's because it's not one thing, man. It's never just one solitary thing that's gonna get you there, man. You just gotta remember that there's so much that goes along with everything.
So I'm curious, man. Like, we've talked about the time, and you've been to ROH, and you've been here. Like, what's one do and one don't that you have in the locker room?
Okay, so are you talking about like a new locker room and like for my personal self, what do's and don'ts?
Yeah, give me one do and one don't of a new locker room.
Man, you always want to show up early and help set up if you can in any way possible. And 2, always help tear down. Always. Unless you're told otherwise for any specific reason, you always help set up and you always help tear down. That's a do, no matter what. I've been doing this, like I said, for 12 and a half, almost 13 years. And I still help set up and I still help tear down. No matter what. If unless something emergency or something like I got to work the next day. And I'm like, hey, I can't, I really got to get going. I got a 8-hour drive and I got to be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning and get to work. That's very rare though. That rarely happens to me anymore. I'm like, hey, I'll get home at 5 o'clock in the morning because I helped a business shut down, or set up and tear up. And don'ts, man. Don't ever feel like, how to say this? Don't ever feel entitled to anything. You're not entitled to anything. Period. I learned that the hard way. You're never entitled. I can walk into the place I'm wrestling at tomorrow, and if I walk in with the wrong attitude, he's gonna kick me out the door just like that. You're never entitled. You gotta work for everything. You gotta work hard and work for everything. And if you do that and you have the right attitude, it's gonna go a long, long ways.
I like that. I like that a lot. It makes sense. And it's just great life advice as well. Like, just
yeah, it is. It's taken me a while to be in this mindset. The last 2 years, 2 years ago, I was very unhappy. I didn't want to wrestle anymore. I didn't want to work at my job anymore. I didn't want to live where I was living. I was tempted to go live out in a vehicle, out in the middle of nowhere, and stop everything. I was just so unhappy with just me. So self-reflection and depression is real. It's in a lot of people. So you gotta realize what you have and what you are willing to change, man. 2 years ago, I said, what am I doing with myself? And what am I going to do? I started studying more again. I started working out even harder and better. I got in the best shape that I've ever been in my life again. I'm motivated. I'm happy. I'm studying at my shoot job, and I've gotten education, like documents showing that I'm doing stuff there. So you just got to keep working on you, man. You just got to keep working on you, and for the naysayers, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. I was told I wouldn't last. I was told I'm too small. And I've wrestled for some of the biggest companies. I've been in the locker rooms with WWE superstars. You can do whatever you set your mind to,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. It's, you gotta work for it and you gotta push for it. So those are like my heavy hitting questions, but we do got to get into the second best segment of all the 3 Count podcasts. People ask me, well, if that's the second, this is the second, what's the first? There's a Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find every Sunday on our live show. So if you want to check out the debate show, that's where you'll see those. But this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. Jeb, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. Whatever's your answer is your answer. Are you ready to play the game?
Ooh, so rapid fast. So I gotta be quick with it. All right, I'm gonna do my best.
All right, well, we're gonna put on imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Oh, Endgame.
See how that works? Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite yoga position?
Scorpion, I guess. I don't really know it.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Favorite color?
Red.
Diamonds or hearts?
Hearts.
Favorite podcast?
That's up in the air right now. 3 Count Podcast.
That's right. See, it's like we set this up or something. And then nominate me one person that you want to see on this show.
If you haven't done them already, Justin Taylor.
The Living Proof?
The Living Proof.
We have. He's actually been on our show.
Okay. If not him, the next one in line would be Ryan Justice if you haven't done him.
Okay. We'll take that one. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show, favorite curse word.
Ooh, I'm trying to watch my language, but shit.
It's a great one.
Just shit.
Sugar honey iced tea.
Yeah. No, I've used shits like so much, and I've used it at shows I wasn't supposed to use it on, so I've gotten in trouble for that. But yeah, no, I've been really trying to work on that because it's cheap. Honestly, in wrestling, it's cheap. So got to study your dictionaries or study words or ideas and things like that to make you sound just smarter or better than somebody else sometimes. Sometimes you just don't have to say anything at all. You just put on a mask and you get crazy and get belligerent.
What's funny though is that like I always look back at George Carlin, right? Because he's like one of my favorite comedians like all time, rest in peace. But he always had like the 7 dirty words you can't say on TV. But it's in that joke that he said something that was prolific to me, right? And he's like, and this was back in 1970. So he was like, there's 399,993 words in the English dictionary, and 7 of them are considered bad words. And then like he goes through the bad words. But I thought about it, I was like, yo, like if you have like, I usually don't curse. In any of my promos, I don't curse. I was like, because there's other words that mean the same thing that will get the same point across. And I'm like, you can find something. Like the English dictionary is not this small. It's massive. It's got lots of words in there.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you. And it's funny too, because like, and I don't know, and now that I pointed out, I'm sure somebody will go back and watch all the episodes, but you'll see like if my guest doesn't curse, I usually don't curse. But if my guest is cursing, guess what the fuck I'm doing?
You're cussing. Yeah. And like I said, I could be a sailor. Don't get me wrong. I could be a sailor. But I want to refrain from that just because it's
cheap.
It's cheap. It's just simple. It's cheap. I mean, it's too easy.
It is. But that is it for the 3 Count Podcast 10 Count questions. So the last thing I need from you, Jab, is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Man, it's real simple. I got an Instagram, Twitter, and a Facebook, and they're all at the same one. It's at the Wildcard Mask at that. So just at the Wildcard Mask. I almost said my email for bookings.
Well, that, and then you like you mentioned earlier in the show, you do have a pro wrestling tees out there too. So
yeah, at the Wildcard Mask. Everything it can be found on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. They have the link to the Pro Wrestling Tees shop and everything there. They do have discounts every so often. I mean, the more people, for me, I would love you to buy my merch, but for me, just a like and a follow, man, that goes a long ways. Follow me, man. I'm constantly working on doing things. I've been across the country. I haven't been out of the country yet. I just got my passport this year, so hopefully when COVID relieves in some way or form, I can see about going possibly to Canada. I have a person that has connections in Canada. I can go there. I can possibly look at possibly going to Japan or any other place. I just wish I could go and learn from. Japan's a big one. That's going to be super hard to even do, honestly, without some sort of help. But it's a goal. You know, I'm not afraid to travel. You know, that's where I want to go at. So.
So that's it. That's all we have for it now. I'm gonna take this home. We're taking it home. We're going right to the finish, which means one thing. This is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said at the top of the show, I am your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man who leads you up this mountain called wrestling. And just like every good Sherpa, you have to have someone that has been there before and taking you on that journey. And that's what this is. So it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And right next to me, you can see him. He is Jeb, aka the Wild One, the Wild Card himself. You guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait till this episode ends and you wait for the outro and you listen to another one of our episodes. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.